The moment my mom laughed in my face and said, "You'll never own a house like your sister," something inside me cracked in a way I still don't know how to fully describe. And the way my sister smirked beside her, like she was silently agreeing that I was nothing compared to her, made it 10 times worse. I remember staring at them both, hearing their words echo in my chest like I'd been slapped. And instead of breaking down or arguing, I just quietly pulled out my phone and texted back in a way I never thought I'd have the courage to. Now the question I keep asking myself is, was I wrong for what I said? Or was it finally time for me to speak up after years of being treated like I was the lesser child? I really want to know what you think, because even now it still stings. Anyway, let me start this story from the beginning, because this moment didn't just happen out of nowhere. This wasn't one fight or one rude comment. This was the result of years of favoritism, comparison, and being made to feel like the disappointment of the family. Growing up, it was always obvious who the golden child was. My sister, Maya, smart, perfect hair, perfect grades, perfect everything. At least that's what it felt like. If she sneezed, my mom would act like she invented air. If I brought home a good grade, it was just, "Oh, that's nice." Followed immediately by, "Did you see Maya's grade? She got higher." I wasn't jealous, not at first. I was just tired. Tired of being measured against someone who lived a completely different life than me. See, Maya followed the exact path my parents dreamt for her. She went to a fancy university, studied something impressive sounding, graduated with honors, married a guy who worked in finance, and together they bought this huge suburban house. White fences, 2-car garage, perfect lawn, the kind of house you see in brochures. And I guess that made my parents feel like they won some kind of parenting championship. Meanwhile, I took a different route. I didn't go to a fancy university because I couldn't afford it. I worked random jobs, hustled wherever I could, saved whatever scraps I managed to keep. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest. Hard, real, but to my mom, real didn't matter. Only respectable mattered. Only impressive mattered. Every family gathering became a comparison Olympics. Look at Maya's house. Look at Maya's car. Look at Maya's career. And then I'd walk in with my modest clothes, my modest job, and my quiet little life. And suddenly the tone shifted. "Oh, you're still renting. When will you settle down? Why don't you get a better job?" It was always something. Always a dig. Always a reminder that I wasn't enough. Maya never defended me either. She'd just sit there with this polite little smirk, pretending she wasn't enjoying the attention, even though everyone could see she absolutely was. But despite everything, I kept going. I worked extra shifts. I lived frugally. I saved quietly. While everyone laughed, I planned. While everyone doubted me, I pushed forward. I wanted a home. Not because I wanted to impress my family, but because I wanted stability. Peace, something I built with my own hands, something no one could take credit for, something no one could use against me. And finally, after years, I reached a point where I thought maybe this was the moment. I found a small house. Not huge, not fancy, not Instagram worthy, but it was mine, or it could be mine if everything went well. I was excited, nervous, proud, and foolishly I wanted to share that moment with my family. I wanted them to say, "We're proud of you," just once, even if it was delayed by decades. So I told my mom. I told her I was having a meeting with a realtor about putting in an offer. And you know what she did? She laughed like I had just told her I planned to fly to the moon using cardboard wings. The worst part wasn't even the laugh. It was how she looked at my sister afterward, as if confirming that the joke was mutual. My sister raised an eyebrow, smirked, and sort of shrugged in that dismissive way, like she couldn't even picture me being a homeowner. My mom said, "Honey, be serious. A house. You can't afford a house like Maya's. Not in this lifetime. Maybe start with something small, or just keep renting. It's safer for someone like you. Someone like me. God, those words hit hard. Someone like me. What was I? Some kind of hopeless charity case? Some kind of incompetent child who should stay in the corner? Everyone acts like words don't matter, but they do. They absolutely do. I felt all the years of humiliation boiling up in my chest, and the worst part, my sister didn't say anything. She just smirked, like this was entertaining for her, like watching me be put down was some kind of family tradition she'd grown comfortable with, like she'd already written the story of my life, the sibling who never measures up. That was the moment I realized how deeply this dynamic had been carved into our lives. My mom expected me to fail. My sister expected me to fail. They'd already decided who I was and who I wasn't. But I wasn't going to accept that anymore. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I didn't argue. I just took out my phone, opened the group chat we used for family updates, and typed something I'd been holding back for years. Something brutally honest, something that shook the entire conversation. Maya saw me typing and leaned forward slightly, curious. My mom actually paused mid-laugh, and I hit send. But before I tell you what I wrote, this is where I want you, the viewer, to come in. Imagine being constantly compared to a sibling. Imagine being mocked for trying to improve your life. Imagine being laughed at for daring to dream. So that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below. What would you have done in my place? Would you have stayed quiet? Would you have clapped back? Or would you have walked away forever? I really want to know. All right, here's what I texted. I wrote, I don't need a house like Maya's. I'm not trying to compete with her, but at least everything I've earned is mine. I didn't marry into money. I didn't get bailed out. I didn't get help with college. I didn't get Dad's loan. Everything I have I built, alone, and maybe that's why I'll appreciate my home more than anyone else here ever could. The room went silent. You could hear a pin drop. My sister's smirk vanished so fast it was like someone slapped it off her face. My mom's jaw literally dropped. She stared at me like I had just committed a crime. Immediately, she started sputtering. That is so disrespectful, she said. How dare you say that? And my sister snapped. You don't know what you're talking about. You're just jealous. Jealous. The holy word. The accusation they'd been waiting to throw at me my entire life. I calmly looked at Maya and said, jealous of what? A house I don't even want. Approval I've never had. A comparison I never asked for. Maya didn't have a comeback. She just stared at her phone, her face red, her breathing tight. My mom got angry. Your sister worked hard for her life, she insisted. She deserves everything she has. I nodded. I never said she didn't. But you treat her accomplishments like they're the only ones that matter. And you treat mine like they're invisible. My mom rolled her eyes, but I kept going. You say I'll never own a house like hers. Maybe I won't, but I will own a house. And when I do, it'll be because I earned it, not because anyone helped me. The truth hit them harder than any insult could have. Suddenly, they weren't superior, they were exposed. Exposed for the favoritism, exposed for the assumptions, exposed for the years of subtle digs and not-so-subtle comparisons. My sister tried to recover. You didn't have to bring up the loan, she muttered. That was private. I said, it stopped being private when I got shamed for not having what you have. She didn't say another word after that. Later that evening, I got a long message from my mom saying she was hurt and disappointed that I would attack the family like that. I didn't respond, because for once I didn't feel guilty. I felt free, like I had finally pulled the weight off my chest that I'd been carrying since childhood. And here's the part that still shocks me. A week later, I got approved for the house, my first home. My OWN home, my space, my accomplishment. I didn't tell my family for days. When I finally did, they were quiet. No congratulations, no excitement. just a cold acknowledgement, and honestly, that's okay, because I didn't do it for them. I did it for me, and after moving in, after sitting in my own living room with my own keys in my own hand, I realized something. The house wasn't even the real victory. The real victory was finally standing up for myself. So here's how I'll end this story. If you've ever been the lesser child, the quiet one, the black sheep, the one people underestimate, remember this. You don't need anyone's permission to grow. You don't need their applause. You don't need their belief. Build your life quietly, then shock them with the results. If you were on my side, like this video. If you've ever been compared unfairly, subscribe for more stories like this. And tell me in the comments, was I wrong for what I said? Or was it long overdue? I'll see you all in the next story.